Welcome to the Sideload, the only podcast brave enough to compare pixels to Halloween sequels. I'm your host, Will Sattelberg. This week, Damien Wilde is back on the show as we continue to dig into this post-Pixel 11 landscape that we now find ourselves in. We're starting off with some big picture thoughts on the direction of Pixel, why this launch in particular feels so strange compared to its predecessors, and some Snapdragon comparisons for Tensor that may or may not point to Google's overall roadmap. In the back half, we're talking about what we do and do not like about using the Pixel 11 as our daily driver, and I'll give you a hint, mine involves Highlight. All that and more starts right now after this message from our sponsor, NordVPN. You're probably already trying your best at online security. You don't repeat passwords, you're careful about where you log into your bank account, and anytime you get a weird email, you are always careful if there's a link involved. But if you aren't browsing the web with a VPN, you're missing out on a crucial layer of protection, and that's where NordVPN comes in. Without NordVPN, your IP address and browsing habits are an open book to your internet service provider and potential bad actors on public Wi-Fi. NordVPN helps fix that by encrypting your internet traffic so what you're doing isn't just floating around the network. With more than 9,000 VPN servers covering more than 188 locations, it's also built to stay fast, so you're not stuck choosing between security and a usable connection. And it comes with features that actually matter day to day. Threat protection helps block malicious sites and trackers, while a built-in kill switch helps prevent accidental leaks if your VPN connection drops. If you want to stop risking your data on public Wi-Fi, and trust me, you do, you can save 76% on a 2-year subscription, plus score 4 additional months for free, just by going to nordvpn.com/9to5off and signing up for a 2-year subscription. That's nordvpn.com/9to5off to claim this offer. Thanks to NordVPN for sponsoring this show. Well, it's Pixel season here at 9 to 5 Google, and really everywhere if you think about it. And we're not done talking about these phones, I think, because as we exit review period, we enter into real world use period, and I can't think of anyone better to have on the show than our very own Damien Wilde to talk about his thoughts and feelings on the Pixel 11 as he moves into it just being kind of his general daily use device. So Damien, welcome back to the show.
Thank you very much. Sorry I interrupted you there. I'm
You're
switched
fine.
between all 3 devices concurrently every single week, it feels like. So yeah, I'm getting experience of using all of them right now. I'm currently on the Pro. I
Yes.
switched from the 11 to the Pro XL back down to the Pro, which is my retail unit. So it's Pixel season. This is what happens, isn't it? You just switch device like every couple of weeks if you can. So luckily I've got all 3.
Yeah, it's good that eSIM has gotten a little bit more reliable because that
Do you know what? I don't have that. I've got a physical SIM.
Right,
so
of course. I forget that this is a terrible US
easy.
thing. But for real, it actually it's gotten better. It's not. I still wish I will take a physical SIM all day, every day, frankly, because it's faster. I don't really like. I understand that you could do it without a SIM tool if you have eSIM, but like if you have a SIM tool. Which you know, any tech journalist worth their keystrokes. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Will have one in their travel bag, and I am saying this knowing that in 2023, when I went to Snapdragon Summit, I did have to ask Miriam Drawer to borrow a SIM tool. I forgot one.
I keep one in my wallet.
Now it's in the charger bag I carry everywhere. There's one in a little pocket inside. But at the time I was like, I thought I had one and I didn't. And a SIM I was using. Oh man, this is such a tangent to start us off, but I love that. I love that. The SIM I was using, I can talk about this now, was sent to me. It was sent to me from AT&T. It was an AT&T SIM that was included in a Pixel 4a 5G, I think. That was sent in 2021. It was one of the first things a company ever sent to me after I started working at Android Please, to test out like cellular Stadia connectivity. And anytime you certainly know this, Damien. I'm sure it's the same in the UK, but anytime a carrier sends you a device that has a SIM card in it, it's usually set to expire about a month after the fact. Like it will
Yes,
work for a
sometimes
month.
you get 3 months. Yeah,
Sometimes you get
3
a
months
little
of
bit
contract.
more. This SIM card worked from when I got it in 2021 until I was in Hawaii for Snapdragon Summit 2 years later.
Nice.
And it just never stopped working. So I didn't use it as my main or even secondary because I have 2 lines. But I did keep it as a backup when I needed, or if I felt like I needed 3 phones with cell connection, which I did a lot of the times when I was traveling, or it was nice to have when I was traveling. And the other thing was that my 2 lines are Verizon and T-Mobile based, and so there were times where AT&T, if I was like, if hotel Wi-Fi was awful, AT&T's SIM would have, or like AT&T's network would have the fastest speeds if I was tethering to it. And so I'd be like, oh, awesome. I can just, or like, I'm not even using this phone. I can just leave it propped up by the window in the hotel room.
Yeah, I've done that before. Done that lots of times.
It was great. It lasted for, I think, over 2 years. And I assume it mostly died. It might have died because I took it to Hawaii and the network was finally like, wait a minute, this SIM card shouldn't. You know what? I take it back. I remember what happened. It wasn't even that AT&T caught up. The SIM itself died.
Well,
like I started having issues with the SIM card, and then it finally stopped working. Like it was like there was some issue with the SIM card. That's what it was. Where it didn't just stop working one day. It was like it would be okay, and then like I'd have to reboot the phone, and then it would be okay, and then like it just slowly it just breathed its last breath and faded into SIM heaven. It's a long tangent.
Too scared to get a new SIM from them as well. That would have been.
What was I going to do? To be like, hey guys, the
give me that free SIM again.
the SIM that you gave me that was probably supposed to turn off 2 years ago stopped working. Can you guys send me another one for free? I think I can talk about this now.
You could have done it.
It's been 2 years.
You could have done
3 years. Jesus Christ, 3 years. Oh my God. It was like it's 2025. Damien, the Pixel 11. How are you feeling?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm definitely feeling the fact that I have a SIM tray and you don't. Obviously, it was playing on your mind, so that's a good sign. I think. So the Pixel 11 is it's a really weird time, isn't it? I think we've talked about it on a previous episode. I think we were talking about like everybody should be hunkering down with the technology potentially they have right now.
Yeah.
And the Pixel 11 series 11 Pro, I don't really have much to say on the Fold because I haven't spent much time with it, but it definitely feels like a weird proposition because on the one hand we all probably shouldn't be looking to upgrade unless there's an exceptional deal,
right? And
there's been some diminishing returns with the Pixel 11 through, and I don't want to say anybody's particular fault. It's more well, I suppose it is. I suppose Google are technically to blame for the fact that certain components are exceptionally expensive compared to where they were a few years ago. So you have this issue where Google are pushing AI, their products are decreasing in terms of the components they have within them because of the AI side of things.
Yeah.
And you get less for your money. So it's difficult to evaluate the phone and its own merits without that background. You kind of have to judge it on that. And then the fact that last year, arguably on paper, you get certain things better than it. It does feel it's one of the weirdest review periods I've ever had with the Pixel device.
Yeah.
And I do wonder how that's going to help the devices in the long term.
Right.
Usually, like I've enjoyed using the Pixel 11. I think despite the fact that the price has increased by, I think it's about $100 in the US. I think it's £899 here in the UK. Yeah, the trading deals are phenomenal right now. If you have an older device, if you do want to go out and buy one, you can. But it's still tough to ever suggest somebody upgrade this time around. Usually, I'd say the cycle that we're having for upgrade cycle just feels even longer and longer than it ever was. So yeah, that's a long way of saying they're not bad. I just don't know where I stand fully yet. I haven't given it a full definitive review yet. It's more of an initial thoughts after a week. But my first week of using the base Pixel 11 was very, very good. And my backup SIM is in there now currently. And I'm using it for like most of the stuff I'm doing, like payments. It has my car key on it and a few other things. I mean, it does those absolutely fine. Like, I can't complain. if that's what you want from a phone, like making payments and driving your car, phenomenal.
Well, that is what everybody wants from a phone. The issue is that every phone, every at the very least, certainly every flagship released since 2020 can do that for you. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like
true.
You're if that's all you need, if you need the essentials, you're covered. It's interesting. You just said something that made me realize, like, this is a weird, I think in part this is a weird phone launch because it feels, and I had not thought of the device this way before, but
Mhm.
it almost feels like a second different sequel to the Pixel 9. Do you know when like long running movie franchises, let's take Halloween as as like the perfect
Mhm.
example,
Mhm.
decide that they are going to cut out 7 of the really bad sequels from canon, and the next movie is going to go back and be a sequel to the first Halloween,
That
right? You know,
Halloween 3.
which is
Yeah.
exactly what David
Yeah,
Gordon
yeah.
Green's like trilogy did, right? They're like, we're going back to just making, like, we're ignoring all of the other continuity. We're going back to the beginning and making a sequel to that movie. That's sort of what this feels like, where it's like the Pixel 10 and 11 are two different takes on like how to do an S version of the Pixel 9. And I hadn't thought of, but it's like obviously there's a little bit of difference here, right? Where you have like the processors are completely different, but they're also
Mhm.
not different enough that you would really feel. You really wouldn't feel it next to each other if you were
No.
holding a Pixel 10 in one hand and 11 in the other. You're never going to notice speed differences. Not even in gaming. They'll both do kind of bad. Um, it's but like one has highlight and the other has a temperature sensor, at least on the pros, right? You know, the Pixel 11 does start at 256 gigabytes of storage, which the 10 should have, but the Pixel 11 Pro has at its base model has a RAM decrease, right? Like
Mhm.
it's very interesting that it doesn't feel like a successor to the 10. It feels like a different successor to the 9. Like we could have seen this phone last year and no one would have been like, wow, Google really skipped 2 generations ahead. They would have been like, yeah, this is what I expected from a Pixel 10. And it's just very interesting to essentially see like the Pixel 10 2. Another example, it's just Final
Yeah.
Fantasy 10 2, the Pixel 10 2. Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's weird you mentioned it's like we're having this schism, aren't we, of like I think whenever we've seen a Pixel before, and okay, let's talk about the watch briefly because I think it's a good almost like
Yeah.
way to frame this. I think with the Pixel Watch 4, Google finally managed to, I guess, um, vi- uh, uh, create the visualization of what they wanted from a smartwatch. And ordinarily with the Pixel phones, every single time a Pixel phone comes out, it's the zenith or the peak of what they want a phone to look like
Right.
and be an experience of. With the Pixel 9, I think they hit such a high ceiling for themselves. Yes, they didn't necessarily have the performance that everybody wanted. I say everybody, it tends to be a small vocal minority of people who are the most vocal, and their points are definitely valid.
Yeah, I'm not
In
taking
that,
anything away from it's
no, no, no.
predominantly gamers or other like enthusiasts who just
Yeah,
want
yeah.
raw
Like
horsepower.
it's absolutely fine that you want
Yeah.
raw horsepower, and I want raw horsepower as well. And I do think that Google is going to have their Ryzen moment at some point. I.e., there was a long time where Intel had such a great
Yes.
lead over AMD
AMD.
in the processor space, and then all of
Yeah.
a sudden they had the Ryzen moment, and now it's flipped completely, and nearly everybody uses Ryzen for gaming
Right.
PCs because the price to performance is so exceptional. I do
I'm
think.
recording on a Ryzen PC right now.
Yeah,
Yeah, right
that's. I
there.
mean, I
Yeah.
have a Ryzen gaming PC behind me, so
Yeah.
there's clearly a switch, and I do think there can be a time where Google can do that. But I do think Google sometimes, in some ways, it's a little bit like Nintendo, isn't it? Like staying on this gaming tangent with me, like Microsoft and Sony, they want all the raw horsepower. They want to do they want to do what they want to do with their consoles. Nintendo just does their own thing. We're just going to do our own thing and hopefully pick up people in between.
Yep.
Yes, Google is not selling consoles at the same level as Nintendo Switch and Switch 2. Can that be possible? I'm not sure.
They're in their
Maybe.
Wii U phase. The Pixel is
Yeah,
in
yeah,
its
yeah,
Wii U
yeah.
phase.
Definitely. Or GameCube potentially. Like it could
Yeah,
be revered in future. They
although
haven't sold as many.
GameCube had the horsepower. That was the one time
True,
Nintendo.
but it didn't sell like it should have
It
done.
did
You know what I
not
mean? Like
sell
in the
well. It
PS2, in
didn't.
the PS2 era, in the Qualcomm era, it's kind of like
I
we're
mean,
sitting in the GameCube era.
We can't
We've
get
gone
into
on a
it, but
wild tangent with gaming.
it was the little discs. If they hadn't done the little
Yeah,
discs, that's what I'm.
yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I think. Well, the highlight is the little disc in this instance. Then, I think that we definitely have this situation where Google's just kind of content with what they want to do with the components. They're content with, okay, we're going to go down this AI route. We don't have as much raw horsepower as everybody else. We're going to improve the experience in
Right.
other ways. And with the Pixel 9, like I say, they hit this ceiling probably a little bit earlier than they probably should have done.
Yeah.
I say probably. We should have had this with the Pixel 6, really. But at the end of the day, they've hit the Pixel 9. It's very much like in the iPhone playbook. They said we're just going to play by our own rules now, like Apple did way back in the day, and Qualcomm was forging a path with
Right.
devices like the HTC Desire, which had the first gigahertz processors, Snapdragon processor, all that kind of stuff. Google's just going to stay in their lane, do their thing, and you can see that they're almost have pumped the brakes a little bit since the Pixel 9 series has launched. It's like, I don't know, maybe deep down they're like, we don't know how much further we can take the raw source, as it were, the piece of hardware that everyone's going to go out and buy. We don't know how much further we can push it in terms of the design limitations that we have on all, and maybe some of they've only just got TSMC on board over the last year. Maybe they don't necessarily want to try and push their processor designs too far yet to gain the performance that they want. I don't know, I'm spitballing.
If they want it.
This
That's
is
really
it.
the question.
Do they want it? Do they want it? I'm not sure. But at the end of the day, I think that the Pixel 11 has made me realize how good the Pixel 9 was as an almost restart for the Tensor generation of Pixels. And we are constantly looking back at that phone. Yes, it had problems of its own, but it fixed a lot of the major issues we had with Pixels prior to that, from the 6 series onwards.
Yes.
So as has kind of been alluded to by Google execs for the last couple of years, the Pixel 12 is probably going to be a bigger redesign than we've had over the past couple of years.
Right.
So I do wonder where this sits. Like, is this Google just kind of coming up to that, about to maybe join the highway, as it were, or the motorway, kind of get before they can potentially get into the fast lane? They're about to merge. Like the 12 feels like, there is no real. They're off the safe back roads and they're going to go onto the highway fully, and they have to make some real performance gains and some big gains, because I don't think they can pump the brakes again. It feels to me, and then that's probably a bit of a reductive way to describe the Pixel 11. But it's the only way I can think of it right now. I don't think there's a bad product there. I think there's a bad timing and maybe bad positioning of the product. Does that make sense?
No, it does. I think a lot of this comes down to, it was okay. There was like a sweet spot with Tensor, right? I would say Tensor 1 and especially 2 were pretty bad. I had one I would say was more of a modem issue. I don't remember a ton of
horrendous,
like overheating issues on my Pixel 6. I don't. But it certainly, not only was the modem bad, but it was also like, if you remember, that phone came out in October,
2021?
I believe, in 2021, and it had essentially the first 6 months of its update cycle were either fixing or introducing bugs. Like, some of those updates like added more bugs. It was a buggy time. And then G2, I would say, didn't have, the Pixel 7 did not have the same amount of like bugs that needed to be squashed post-launch, but that processor, especially as you circled back around into the summer of 2023, became very obviously like it was just, its thermal performance was so awful. It became very clear that it was not a particularly efficient chip. And then G3 and G4, that's my sweet spot, because I don't think either of them are outstanding processors, but I would say that was when Google was delivering on the, like, we do AI better than our competitors, and we are using Tensor to do it. And you could kind of feel that the compromise, like where you were compromising on power, you were seeing where it was coming back around, right? On the Pixel 8 and into the Pixel 9. But the problem was, by the time the Pixel 9 comes out, you have that's 2024. You have Qualcomm debuting the Snapdragon 8 Elite that year, and certainly by the Elite, if not sooner, they have caught up any gap in AI performance and local AI performance between Snapdragon and Tensor was closed. Right, like it was gone, and it has stood that way. There is not a doubt in my mind that if you took a Pixel 11 and dropped the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 into it, that it couldn't do the exact same AI things that the Pixel does right now with Tensor without any drops in performance. I think you would only gain in like raw gaming performance, basically, and probably be even a little bit more efficient or cool. Although that chip runs a little warm, but
Hmm.
if you push it. But yeah, so I think basically what happened was you had that sweet spot where the compromise was clear and worth it to consumers, I think, in a way, or at the very least enthusiasts. And you also had this promise, this long, I mean, like, God, it was a rumor. Tensor G5 switching to TSMC and being and therefore being a competitor to Qualcomm was a rumor. I want to say dating back to the Pixel 7 days. Like it was around for a long time that
It
this
was around for a long time. I can't remember
there was a leaked
when people started
roadmap.
talking about it. Yeah, I think there was a roadmap from what
I think
Pixel.
it was I want to say it
It might
was
be pre-Pixel 8. You might be right, actually.
if it wasn't December, it might have been. No, it could not have been December 2023. It was December 2022, I think, is when we see that roadmap. So it's in the wake of the Pixel 7's launch that it's like, oh, we're gonna switch. We're gonna switch to Pixel, or we're gonna switch to TSMC at some point. And that rumor just like builds up over and over time. And I think because when Qualcomm switched away from Samsung's foundries with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 to the 8 Plus Gen 1, right? A mid-cycle refresh that switched to TSMC, and that chip was so much better than the 8 Gen 1. It had all of the issues with the 8 Gen 1 were fixed on the 8 Plus. And going forward, right? Qualcomm is stuck with TSMC, and their chips have been, at the very least, their flagship chips have been pretty uniformly great since then. And I really do think that there is there's something to be said for like Google. It's not that Google leaned into this rumor, but like the rumor did them no like favors, because everybody said, okay, this is Tensor's Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 moment, and that's not what it was because of where Google's
but
designs for the chip. Yeah.
The designs for the chip were not, they hadn't been going back a decade. They didn't have the potential, the expertise. And obviously then you're working with a new team who are building those chip designs for you. I think maybe if you're the kind of person who is listening to this podcast for a start, we maybe have a skewed perception of what we expect from these tech companies, maybe. And I find myself trying to kind of level myself off in terms of my own expectations, because we maybe expect things to be, the leaps to be bigger than they're potentially going to be. And I think that the prestige, not the prestige, it's more the acumen that Qualcomm had. They've had their fair share of absolute stinkers. The Snapdragon 815, I think, was terrible. Back in the day, they've had some horrendous chips over time. Like, they have had some real stinkers to get to where they are today. And I think that when Google released the Tensor G4 chip in the Pixel 9, they addressed overheating issues. The modem was, I can't remember, I'm pretty sure it was good. I don't think we had any problems with it, or I didn't have any problems where I live. So then that doesn't mean that other people didn't. But for the most part, all of the problems that were really, really disrupting their switch are kind of resolved. We then had two incremental chips between then and obviously moving away from Samsung Foundry. I think over time, Google will start to find the footing on the chipset side of things. And they're going to making incremental gains every single year is the most important thing. Trying to go for a big leap and then failing spectacularly would do more damage to the phones than I think it would if they just continue the way that they're going. Does that make sense? Like, I think if they try to reach for the skies and then fall flat on their face, that is going to do more damage to the Pixel than anything else.
The only thing I would say to that is, and it's an issue I have kind of with Google frequently, I would say, is that they tend to come in, and we're going to see this. We saw this with Chromebooks, and we're going to see it again with Google Books. They come into an industry, right? Whether it's laptops or laptop operating systems, maybe, and then or phone chipsets, and they're like, right, we're starting from the bottom, and they essentially just kind of look at what they're doing and how they can build out generationally, which is fine if it's 15 years earlier. But you can't the issue with starting Tensor in 2021 and acting like it's 2011 and doing the exact same march of progression that Qualcomm did throughout the 2010s to reach where they ended up with the Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 and beyond, is that those chips, that work's been done. Those chips exist, and they're your competition. And so there are people out there, and it's it's a vocal minority, but there are people out there who are the enthusiasts that you kind of need on your side if you're Google to push the Pixel to people who are not as technically inclined or maybe bored with their iPhones but would never think about trying Android if somebody isn't whispering it in their ear. To please them, essentially, right? Like, they need to be able to look at this phone and be like, it's not when I pay $900 for the Pixel 11, it's not a compromised experience compared to the Snapdragon or the Samsung phone that is right next to it, right? Like, I think, I don't know, it's I'm not trying to say that Google is doing anything wrong. I'm totally fine as a non-gamer. I have very few issues with the current trajectory of Tensor, right? But that doesn't mean that I don't see why people are complaining about it. And I guess I need Google to, like, to use your highway metaphor, get up to speed faster. Come on, I'm letting you merge.
Yeah.
I'm letting you merge. Get out of the entrance lane and get onto the highway. Like, let's go.
But I do wonder as well, looking at it, how much has the progress of Gemini potentially stilted the fact that Tensor is not where it could potentially be at this point in time?
Yeah.
I do wonder, like, the market factors that are at play, and Google is very much involved in those. They are part of the market. They are the market factors.
Yeah.
How much of their progression has been stalled because of that? Like, genuinely, like, there is a lot of things that are hinging on Gemini's success, and I don't doubt Gemini will be the market leader because of pure integrations. It doesn't even need to be the best in a lot of ways because they can integrate at scale that none of the other AI companies can do.
Yes, and that I would say that's where they are right now. I would say that they get a lot. I don't think Google's models are really the best at anything at the moment. I can't speak to 3 months from now, maybe that'll change, but when we're recording in late August 2026, like, I don't think Gemini is outperforming its competition. It's good enough for the tasks that you would throw it at it on your phone or in Google search or whatever. I mean, like, again, like, I have many, many complaints about AI applications up to and including the fact that I really do think I feel like I'm banging my head against search more and more lately. That's maybe another episode at some point, but if you're just looking at it from the onset, like, I don't think I don't think Gemini is embarrassing by any means. It's just, it does seem to be behind.
Yeah, it's just they're a step
frontier
behind.
models.
I mean, this is the thing. I think it doesn't make sense for Google to burn cash at the rate ChatGPT and others are doing so because they already have products. They already have products that can lean back on.
That's the whole company. It's a completely different structure.
Yeah,
it's closer to Microsoft, and I would certainly, obviously Microsoft is sort of its own thing with Copilot and their whatever you want to call their relationship with OpenAI. But, like, if their Gemini is closer, it's easier to compare to Copilot and much better than Copilot than it is to ChatGPT or Claude, I guess, because it's like that's their entire business as opposed to Google, which has its fingers in 100 businesses or whatever.
I think a lot of those side businesses are still bigger than what OpenAI and Claude and Perplexity and whoever can kind of muster, like the finances that they draw from those spaces, be that video. And this is not glazing Google for that respect. They have these businesses that are massive in their own way. Like, and I think that's where I do wonder how, obviously Gemini has therefore become a big component in what happens with Pixel. And it is a worry. Like, they are leaning a little bit too much into some of the AI functionality. And I understand that some people who are like at the forefront of this want it to be a bigger component of our phones and our lives, but at the end of the day, the experience still matters. And to kind of round it out and go back to what the Pixel does well, the main experience is very, very good. That Android is probably, dare I say it is the best experience it has been for a long time, because Android 16 last year, and now 17 just builds upon something that was already pretty darn solid with Material 3 Expressive. And maybe, I know that during the last couple of weeks, I think Google has said that they want to ship 13 million phones or something along those lines. Don't quote me on that, I could be wrong. But there is clearly growth, and there's clearly people who like these devices for what they are. So maybe maybe, like I say, you can't look at these things in pure isolation like you used to be able to. You have to look at it more broadly across every single space, because there are lots of phones out there that do provide the best specifications but just lack in the key area, and that's experience. And I think that is something that has always been leveled as a criticism against Android, not specifically against Pixels and Google devices, but what they do well, they do very, very well.
Right.
Like, despite the fact that there is a big performance gap and it is growing, they still hang in there in terms of the data experience with the best phones out there. I just think maybe with the Pixel 11, it's the first time in a while that I felt like, well, I'm trying to look for the differences. I'm trying to find things, whereas you can kind of spot them straight away. Does that make sense? Like, even with the 9 to the 10, there was things that I was like, okay, this is better because of the storage does make the storage performance. The storage type makes a big difference for the performance, and the thermals are a lot better than the first Tensor G4.
Yes,
and like, the camera had some better zoom capabilities.
Or if you were buying the base model, you maybe got a downgraded main, but you got a telephoto
that we've wanted for a long, long time.
Yeah.
We've complained about. Like, yeah, I feel like we just ragged on Google for like 5 minutes there. But
I mean,
I think it's just the whole thing. It's like all of the other things are playing into where we maybe have a little bit of an indifference. Not indifference. It's like maybe a flatter view of the product lineup going into this phone. The expectations weren't high. The fact that there's so many similarities. I can only say this is what it must feel like to be an iPhone user for 12 to the 15, like 12 to the 16. Sorry, you are getting the same phone served to you every year, and you're like, what the heck is new here? And that's fine if you're an iPhone fan. But I think on Android we're not used to that. We're not used to nothing changing ever.
That's really interesting, right? Because you're right. Google is on a trajectory that is more like Apple. And in fact, I can't remember what episode of Pixelated it was, or if it was even last week's Sideload episode, but like, I compared this phone in my head to like this is their iPhone 8, where it's like iPhone 6, 6S, 7, 8. Like, we've seen, like, you know what I mean? Like, we're ready, Google. Like, we've seen this design. Like, doesn't feel like there's a lot new here. Like, bring on something fresh. And compared to like Samsung, right? Like, Samsung evolves very slowly.
Think about. I'll interrupt you there. I think that Samsung does evolve slowly, and the thing about it is Samsung hit such a high ceiling straight away. Like, they made the best outright Android phone.
Oh yeah.
And if we look at S24 to S26, if that is arguably, I would say, less of an upgrade path than 9 to Pixel 11. Actually, no, they're probably similar. I'm recanting that. Pixel 9 to Pixel 11 is about they're within say 15%, 10-15% of like the difference between S24 and S26.
100%. The difference that I think is that Samsung is never. Every Samsung model builds on top of the last one, and that is that has not been true for Pixel, or I would argue for the iPhone. Like, Apple, you forget, Apple will try out a feature, and if it doesn't stick, the one that is coming to mind is 3D Touch, or whatever it was, the virtual force touch stuff that was on like 2 or 3 generations of phones before they were like, it's too expensive, we can emulate it in the software, ditch it. And that reminds me not so much of the temperature sensor, although obviously that is a very similar thing where it was around for 3 generations. It reminds me of Highlight. It's the fate that Highlight has. I have not heard a single person imply that they think Highlight will be around for more than 2 or 3 generations. It's crazy. Like, they rolled out like 2 different ads for it at the event, and like, everybody seems to be, like, the most positive you can be on it is like not thinking about it at all. Like, it's it's and so like there is a very similar approach, and obviously like Google is emulating Apple's approach to the iPhone in a lot of different ways. We cannot pretend that there is not a certain, like, that Google did not evolve the look of the Pixel from the 6 to the 9 to look more like an iPhone. I think as a play to woo over iPhone owners who want to try something else by making the device feel more like the thing they already had. I think it's a good idea, but like, we can't, like, if the Pixel 6 did not look anything like an iPhone, and the Pixel 9 Beyond like has the same curve radius and the flat edges, like very similar, very very similar aesthetics, even if the overall experience is very different. Um, and Tensor as well, right? Like Google obviously sees Apple's custom silicon as an advantage in Apple's favor, and it is. And if you need more evidence of it, go look at the MacBook Neo, which was only able to be built, and obviously I know it's gone up $100 in price, but it was only able to be built because of Tim Cook's like knowledge of supply chains and how they built out these A series chips to be powerful enough that it could power Mac OS. Like it's interesting, and you can see that Google probably wants Tensor to be there eventually, but
I think when you look at it though as well, if Google can stay the course, and I don't doubt they will now that they're putting more time and specifically money behind it, because obviously the Pixel is just a vehicle for Gemini now, rightly or wrongly. With regards to the Tensor chip, just being positive on it for a moment, it means that nobody can push them around on the chip. Does that make sense? Like Qualcomm can't make demands of Google, and Google can therefore potentially support their phones for longer, or other devices. We may see Google Books powered by Tensor chips. I do think as a long-term strategy, it is the way that they should have gone from day one. But obviously, they maybe weren't as confident as they could have been at the time. Like nobody was really making custom chips, save I think Samsung back at the Pixel 1 days. Do we have the early Exynos processors then? Yeah, it's definitely a different market, and I do think that may we've seen it since the Pixel 5 was kind of like the first. I'd liken the Pixel 11 to the Pixel 5, and what I mean by that is Google had to have a reset. Like, just let's make a competent phone. Let's make a competent phone before we go again. We reset the counter, as it were. We wipe the slate clean, and we try something completely different with the Pixel 6. And I think the Pixel 6, for all of its foibles, was a very good rebirth of the Pixel lineup in that it gave them a signature that they could lean on, the camera bar. They had their own chip. Yeah, problems. There was problems. What would it be a Pixel launch without problems? But I think it set them on a course that does make the most sense for Google. I think when you are arguably one of the world's biggest tech companies, they can't be. Apple doesn't rely on anybody else really, apart from Samsung for displays. And I don't know who does their memory stack. Is it Hynix? I think the company's called.
I don't know off the top of my head.
So I think there's definitely areas where Google have looked at it, and at the end of the day, unlike Apple, who are a hardware and software company, Google are predominantly a software company, and hardware is hard. They do the best, in my opinion, the best software on mobile, period, in my experience. The hardware, it leaves something to be desired, but I can't, I mean, just the 11 is, I mean, look at this color. This is phenomenal color. The design is very, very good. Like, there are lots of things I do really like about this hardware. It's just, we've kind of been in a real strange position with just where Google fits into the rest of the Android and mobile space.
You see that, Google? You're causing all tech reviewers to have a crisis of conscience over what the Pixel's supposed to be. I don't know. No, well, let's talk about the phones then. Let's talk about your time with the phones, because unlike myself, you have jumped between all three non-foldable models, as you said up top. How are you? What? Okay, let's start with this. Since you have the option to use a physical SIM, what is your physical SIM card going to stick in, do you think? Like after all of this is said and done, what do you think of the three?
Probably it's going to be in the Pro. Okay. For the first time in a while, I mean, I bought the 10 Pro last year in the pea green, the piss green color, and I really enjoyed it. The size is just something that ordinarily I would have an XL. But for the first time last year, I thought I'll go with the regular Pro. And it was one of those things where the size being smaller actually made a big difference. I was like, oh, it doesn't feel like I'm carrying around a big tablet with me. It doesn't roll around in my pocket. Like if you have baggy jeans, the phone would turn on its side and get really uncomfortable. So, I mean, that's a nitpick. But yeah, I think not giving up the camera experience and all of the other components, like the screen is just as good.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit smaller. It's great. Like I probably am going to go with the Pro, but this is the base model Pro, so it's 256, 12 gigabytes of RAM, and so far I haven't had any problems with it. I didn't have any problems with the Pixel 11, but it's probably going to be between those two. To be honest, I don't think I'll go with the Pro this year. Just see how I get on with the middle child.
Pro XL, you mean?
Yeah, sorry, no Pro XL for me this year. I don't think.
It's big. It's such a heavy, big phone. Like it's as I said both to you up top before we started recording, and I think on Pixelated last week. This is the first XL sized Pixel device I've used since the 8 Pro, which might be if you made me pick my favorite Pixel of the 2020s, it might be the 8 Pro. I really that blue. Do you remember that blue?
Do you know, I wasn't a fan of the blue. I went for the mint. I bought the mint one in the end.
I had the so they sent me when I was at Android Police. They sent me the mint as well, and I enjoyed both. I liked the mint. I wish the mint had been a little bolder, a little bit of a bolder color. It was very desaturated. Like in certain lights, it looked almost white, and I just appreciated that the blue was very bold and very like. It wasn't trying to pretend to be a different color. It was like, this is the blue we are. You like it or you don't. And clearly I liked it and you didn't. But yeah, so it's with the 9, I reviewed the 9 Pro at Android Police and then used that until I left there. And then switched, oh God, what did I switch to? I had a personal Pixel 8 that I used for a little bit until the 10 launched, and then I reviewed the 10, or didn't. I mean, I guess I didn't review the 10 at 9 to 5, but I used Google had sent me a 10 to test and use. And so this is kind of my first time being back on this massive 6.8 inch screen. It's nice. Like genuinely, I forgot how much I liked watching videos on it makes a difference. It does. You forget. But God, it feels so big and heavy in your pocket, and it's a thing that I think once it's getting brisk here. It's slowly. Today and yesterday have been almost fall adjacent. It's been rainy and like high 60s, which is Damien for you.
No idea what that is.
20 degrees Celsius.
I mean, okay.
I should have known. I knew that. I should have just said 20. I knew that. Yeah, and so it's been once pants are back out, I think it'll actually fit better in my pocket because it's shorts are a little bit looser, right? So you feel the phone a little more. But yeah, it's been nice. But God, it's a big and heavy phone. You forget, and I more than anything, honestly, we spent so much time talking about Tensor. More than anything, Google could put the Tensor G6 in the Pixel 12, and if they get that thing down, 30 or 40 grams in weight, I will be, I won't care. I will good, great. Like they're much like compared to their competitors, these phones are much heavier.
Yeah, it's very, very heavy.
Yeah,
very heavy. Yeah, I do wonder what they'll do with trying to cut down the dimensions on the next generation. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they try and go for a bit more of a metal design. I don't know. Everyone seems to be kind of following what Apple's doing. And weirdly, the 17 Pro Max is one of those phones where I used it briefly.
Yeah.
Like, it's always been a backup phone for me anyway.
No, you just sold it, right?
I just sold it as of this recording going live. So, yeah.
You brought up selling it on Pixelated last week, which we recorded on Thursday.
Yeah,
and it is now Monday, and you have already shipped it.
Yeah, I've already shipped it. Yeah, it's gone. It's sold this morning, so I saw it's been gone since this afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't intend to pick up an iPhone this year. Maybe I'll get an older one just to to kind of have to play around with iOS and stuff. But no,
well, that was what we were talking about it last week. I was like, there's not even. I don't expect the pros to. It's very clear that whatever attention Apple is going to want on iPhones, it's on whatever their foldable is going to be called. I pray it's not Ultra. It probably will be. But yeah, I mean, like that's why I think I mentioned to you of like, oh, you wouldn't even need to if you're just looking for like an iOS comparison device, you would want to wait till next spring anyway when they launch a base model, because that's all you really need on a software comparison side. So yeah, I totally get you. The Pro Max is also just, it's similar to this. It is such a tank.
But this is the thing, I think that weirdly with the iPhone 17 series, particularly the Pro and Pro Max, is that they feel like something that Google probably would have made as an attempt to kind of rebuttal to Apple. Like, it's so weird that Apple's made a more Android-looking phone last year than Google's made this year. Like, this is more of the last 3 years, they've made an iPhone-looking Android as opposed to Apple, and then Apple just kind of done their own thing. But so it's kind of weird. I do wonder what the Pixel 12 has in store. I kind of hope that they try something different. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they've reached the peak of the design and they're just going to continue with this, and that's fine. But I do wonder what it would be like to be thinner. A thinner phone would be a big difference. I don't know if that affects how they do thermals or anything like that, but I know they've made the camera bar thinner on the Pixel 11, which was good.
Clearly
that is a
they
really
know
nice
that
change.
they need to do work on this, because otherwise
like shaving it down would be a good
wouldn't have
idea. I think as you say, that the 11 Pro XL is a big, heavy phone, and I think I was using the Samsung Fold 8, the wide foldable with the small front, like, that is really light and dainty compared to the Pixel 11 Pro XL, and I think that's one of the reasons why I was like, do you know what, when my retail unit of the 11 Pro comes, I'm probably going to switch my SIM into there straight away from the base Pixel 11 and put my backup in, which was in my iPhone as of this morning, into the 11. So I'm carrying 2 small phones around, which is kind of quite freeing as well, actually, in some respects.
I want to know. Okay, I believe so. So the what I'm seeing for the weight on the Pixel 11 Pro XL is that it weighs 226 grams, and from my memory, I didn't look this up. I believe the Fold 8, the squarish Fold 8 is 201. I want to say it's just over. Yeah. So, which you're like 25 grams. How much could that be? It's 5 nickels, which again, I know for US listeners, I know is nothing, right? Like I know sounds like nothing, but like you feel it. It's a noticeable weight difference
in your pocket. You feel it.
In your pocket, you feel it, and so I don't know. That's
then
my
throw a
biggest
case
hope.
on top, throw your OtterBox on top, throw your pop socket on top.
All right.
You're adding some serious weight. Like even the Pixel Clear case, like the Clear case, which
don't buy it.
Yeah, I don't think anyone should buy this unless
I wrote a thing over the weekend. Don't buy that thing.
Yeah, I think even that is that's the lightest I think of Google's official cases. Like that still adds a fair few amount of grams on top. So I mean that's for the regular Pro. But yeah, once you start adding cases to the mix, it does get really heavy. I was using a D-brand case, the Grip, for a little bit.
Those are big, right?
They're they're chunky case, and then obviously there's magnets inside of it as well, and you're starting to really add some weight to your phone. You could have a phone that's like 330 grams by the time you're done, which is a lot. Like, that's a lot. Yeah. To me, that's a lot anyway. I know that a lot of people just go to the gym. I do go to the gym. I just think I don't want to be carrying around a brick.
I hope no one ever is like, wow, Will is so weak. It's not that I can't like the metric I always use is the 283 gram first gen Pixel Fold, which it's not like I wasn't strong enough to pick up and hold. I could hold it for as long as I wanted. The difference is you feel like a strain in your arm, and I'm not saying it's a heavy strain. It's a strain that is you can fight through if you're using it. If you're like, I want to read this book for the next hour on my phone. The difference is that you then put it down and you go pick up a device that's 100 grams lighter, and you're like, well, yeah, this is more comfortable. Like it just is. It's the lighter a phone is, the more comfortable it is 100% of the time. And so, it's. I really hope that's my biggest wish, even more so than the bulkiness, which I would love to see them slim these phones down a little bit. They're thicker compared to their competitors, even. But
in some respects that's good though. I do think for durability that's a good thing, because I think what I will say about Pixel phones in the last couple of years is they can take a beating. They are big, bulky phones, and that means that you can I've dropped my 10 Pro, I dropped my 11, not my 11, my 10. I dropped the 10 Pro Fold multiple times. No real damage to them. Like I can't fault the durability, because in years gone by they were like wafer thin. You could just snap them in two. But yeah, I'm glad that there's some element of the thickness that is good use, like a good component, and they're stronger. They are very thick, beastly phones. But you're going to put an OtterBox on. If you put
it's exactly. I was about to say it's the same problem with the weight, where it's like the thickness itself of the phone is not actually the issue. The issue is everybody buys a case for it, and unless you are looking for a particularly slim, like typically best case scenario, you're looking at the thickness of the camera bar. Like that's what the case is going to bring it up to. That the entire phone is now the thickness of the camera bar. man, that's like 12 millimeters. That's bulky. Like it you feel it again in your pocket. And like, not to not to bring gender into it, but like we're two guys talking about this. Like the
Yeah.
second you start talking about like women's pants or even just like
With no
fitting it
pockets,
into
yeah,
like
yeah.
a clutch or something, like
Yeah.
it's a problem. Like either no pockets or small
So I think
pockets. Yeah.
what we're saying is the thickness of the pixel is now a feminist issue because that's the problem, isn't it? Like
I'm
we are
nothing if not an
genuinely
ally, Damien.
exactly. Yeah, this is it. We need thinner phones, Google. We need thinner, lighter phones for all of the for any gender, whoever you are. You want a thinner phone because it will benefit you in the clothes that you wear and the bags that you carry out there. So yeah, Google, make this phone thinner, but it's not too bad. It can't fault it too much in that respect. I think that it is durable. So I don't know. Some people might look at it and be like, I don't want a thinner phone. I want. Okay, let's take. I think Marques Brownlee's made that the argument a few times that if we have this camera bar, why don't they just fill it full of battery? See, some people might like that. I think that could be a cool way of doing things if they're going to just put like a 12,000 milliamp hour battery in the back of the phone. Fair enough, but
exactly.
I think MagSafe / Pixel Snap takes care of that anyway. So
it does.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a false economy, but for some people, they may be thinking of who are these idiots talking about the thickness of the phone for too long because we want thick phones with mega batteries. But if you want that, go get the Energizer P18K.
Don't buy the Energizer phone.
It's insane. I remember picking that up, and honestly, it was like this thick, and it had an 18,000 milliamp hour battery in the back of it. Like that could probably last you 2 weeks. Like
yeah.
So
well, I mean, OnePlus and I guess like Oppo as an extension, or I suppose other way around. But like those devices were getting before OnePlus is closed up shop, like 7,000-8,000, like it's there. Like I reviewed the OnePlus 15 at the start of this year, and it was like I couldn't kill that thing. I couldn't kill it. Certainly not in a day. I had to like essentially just leave it off the charger for 3 days at a time while using it regularly, and then it would hit like 5%. But yeah, no, 100%. Okay, we'll leave on this. Since you've cycled through all three. I've been using the 11 Pro XL, and my review will be up in the coming days. What's one thing? Okay, we've said lots of good things about it on both myself and Ben last week, and then you and me and Abner on Pixelated. What is your top thing that you want to change about this phone? The top thing that's bothering you, the top thing you don't like, anything like that.
Should we talk about the torch or the flashlight?
That's my pick. So if you want to start with mine, or maybe we both have the same pick. I don't. But although you seem much more pro.
Don't. Okay, I don't have too many strong negatives about the flash, the torch, the flashlight, because I think that there's some changes that make sense. We'll get into that in a moment, but I think maybe we could have had more options in the color front. I think that when Google does a good color, they kind of lean into it a bit too much. Yeah. Like it's kind of like Apple did. Apple did the 2 colors last year, didn't they? Did they do 2 or 3 of the Pro?
For the Pro, 3.
They did 3 of the Pro.
It was orange, white, / silver, and is there just a black model, or is it like a blue? Is it like a blue?
Yeah, it's like a blue color, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah. I would have loved to have seen. I'd love to see Google just go more broadly with colors and do maybe on the base model, maybe not the Pro. I think the Pro doesn't matter that much. Yeah, do 8 colors, do 10 colors. Like I always end up with a Obsidian review unit of the base model, and it hasn't changed. It literally hasn't changed. Even the tone of the back plate is the same this time around, which is crazy. Like the same color. Like I thought they might have gone a few shades darker with it. Like it's almost like a deep gray color.
Well, that is what Apple does frequently. Is that they'll do completely different styles of black every generation.
Yeah, like I think that would be cool to differentiate. I like. Yeah, I know they've changed the camera bar, so you could kind of tell
but they should have at least done like, oh man, you could have done, if you were gonna make the Obsidian Pixel 11 Pro all matte black, you could have done like a total glossy jet black model for the base 11. And I'm not saying that I would have picked that model, but I know from just like iPhone friends that like when they've done like glossy jet black iPhones, there are people who like that, and I don't know. It could have at the very least been a little bit different than the same Obsidian we keep seeing. I totally agree with you.
Yeah, I think maybe Google has the data that certain colors stand out more. Like they've done that hibiscus, really super bright pink is, do more of that. Like if you're going to do it, just go for it, because I think there are definitely people who would look at the phone and buy a phone on its color. Like Apple's proven that. There are certain devices that sell because people want the color. Like I see the orange. I mean, I hate it. I think it looks terrible. But the 17 Pro, the amount of orange models of that I see it's either that or the white.
CES. I went to CES in January, so not even 6 months after the launch. Everywhere. Everybody went out and every person who went to CES, like 50% of them went out and bought the orange iPhone 17 Pro or Pro XL. They were everywhere. It was like, and because it's orange, you can see it immediately in a crowd. You just know when you see someone hold up their phone, you know that's the orange, iPhone. What number are we on? 17 Pro.
17 Pro. I don't know, but then again, I guess that's what colors me a bit weird about the way Google went for the is it Canyon Pro XL, which is what we both have. Yeah, we both have the same color.
There we go.
I think the weirdest thing about that is that leans into the color strengths of what Apple have done with the orange iPhone a little bit. I don't know. To me, it's like, we've done a dull version of that.
It is a dull version of it. It's very strange. It's a nice
color. Would you choose it? I wouldn't choose it.
I did choose it based on leaked renders. and then I've been, look, I don't hate it. I don't hate it. If I was shopping in a store and I had all of them in front of me, would I pick it? Probably not. I probably would go either matte black or whatever the good green Pro is. I guess there's only one green.
Olive?
Yeah, olive. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would probably go that direction.
This is a thing, I think.
Oh, go ahead.
So, this is a thing. I'm like, they've gone for Google does a really nice, I would call it home furnishings. I think you Americans would call it home decor. The home decor, the home furnishing style of colors that works really, really well, and they make products that blend into your home. I don't think that's helping the Pixel color lineup. I think that they need to have more out there colors because, like you said, when you're out at CES, you see everyone with their orange iPhone. Even with a case on, you can see the flashes of the orange because it's so bright. It's only the hibiscus that does that this year for Google. I wonder if they could make a color their own. I think, as much as I want to say red, I think the blue is. I think that kind of the what was it called on the Pixel 8? The blue.
Oh God, on the
Bay.
Bay. Right, it's Bay.
Go with, just lean into that. Make a really bright blue. And make it your own, because they did with the Pixel 1, and people love the
really blue. See, that really one I remember. Really that name I remember.
Yeah, that's it. I think just kind of make one that's like that. That it could be a signature color that they do every single year, and it's like insane. Like they do a take on it every single time. I would lean into red, but then actually come to think of it, when I had the OnePlus 6 in red, it kind of dulled after a while. I was like, this is a bit much now. And I'm like that with any bright colour, to be honest with you. But if someone else can run around with that colour and do the advertising for the company, that's absolutely fine. But I think it kind of makes sense to have one really flashy out there colour that when people see it out in public, like, what the heck is that? Like, it draws your eye attention. I kind of liken it to, and I'm going to bring this to the World Cup for football, soccer fans out there. So this year, they had this thing where it's like a hot pink colour, which is close to the hibiscus. Basically all of the football boots, cleats, I think you Americans would call them, nearly every single brand, Nike, Adidas, and a few others, they all made their boots, their cleats, a really hot pink colour, because effectively what happens is it stands out against the green grass, so that your eyes are drawn to the boots. The problem is that everybody did the same colour, a bit like potentially what's going to happen with Canyon and the orange iPhone 17 Pro Max, that it blends into one and you can't differentiate them. Whereas if Google leans into a colour that only they do, which I don't think I've ever seen any color like the Bay one for a while.
That's why I like that phone so much, is because it's the only phone I can think of that had that. And oh my God, it had the polished. Again, usually I am pushing for all matte, but with that color, I thought the polished silver frame worked really well.
Yeah, it did really good.
Yeah.
I don't know why they do. They should do it. So that's my advice to Google for next year. And a complaint I have is, go for one really brash color on the Pro, but make it your own. Go back to the Bay color, make it red, whatever it is. Maybe they can't go back to coral now, because obviously I think Apple has
I mean,
commandeered orange.
also like Canyon this is basically coral. This is not that far off from
true,
coral.
true.
I'll say this about this color. Yesterday I had it sitting on my desk, the desk that I'm sitting at right now, and I came in to grab it, and my curtains were open, and the sun was shining in, and the sun hit the band, like the frame, both around the camera bar and the phone itself, and so the gold of it was just like glowing like perfectly around it, and I was like, you know what, that does look really good. It looks very like looks. And then
Yeah.
also I was like, boy, they really should have built highlight into the I don't know how, but they should have figured out how to put it around the camera bar, because that
Yeah, it
was
would
the
have been
rumor
cool.
at first. And boy, that camera bar was lighting up in the sunlight, and it looked really good.
Maybe that's the end game for highlight. Maybe they get a thin LED
I hope
strip.
so. That's where I can talk about the thing I hate, which is highlight. I'm not going to dunk too much on the feature itself. I think that's been done. It's literally, it was the first paragraph I wrote for my review. I was like, I know exactly what I want to say about this. I think it's embarrassing the state that the software side of this launched in. I mean, like, I remember at Android Police I reviewed whatever iPhone launched the action button. I think it was the 15 Pro, right? And like, I remember being like, this is an interesting idea that that is failed by the fact that in the software you can only set like, I mean, it has Siri shortcut support, I think, but you can only set one thing. There's no double clicking, there's no triple clicking. It is like a push and hold. You get one feature out of it. That's it. I feel very much the same here, where I'm like, you built the hardware side and then like didn't finish the software. Like you only put two things in, and one of them is a visual effect that doesn't actually do anything. So it's and I know they're going to update it, and I know they're going to add messaging support, but it is one of those things where it's like, if you're going to rebuild the notification light, a thing people remember and are nostalgic for, you can't just be like, we took out 90% of the functionality. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, I said I wasn't going to do that. Here's my real issue with highlight. I think highlight is at least a little bit responsible for how bad the flashlight, the torch on the Pixel 11 Pro and Pro XL is. I noticed it and it's spreading. I've seen Reddit threads, like, people are noticing. I noticed it immediately the second I got this thing, and it was the evening or the night of whenever Google sent these review units out, and I was looking for something on my desk, and I had the 11 Pro XL in my hand, and I turned the flashlight on, and I was like, oh, I guess they still ship this thing, even though it's got the slider now. I guess they still ship it at half brightness, because for those who don't know, previous Pixels before that slider ran the torch. Like, if you hit the flashlight
like
button,
50%,
it was at 50%
weird,
brightness. If you just hit it from quick settings, you could download other apps that would allow you to crank it up to 100. But if you ever were like, oh, why is it so dim? Not here. That was 100% brightness. I've tried it with different apps. The slider's all the way up. It's noticeably dimmer than previous Pixels, than every other phone I have on my desk right now. And I use my flashlight a lot. It is one of the two. I have two quick settings things on the or quick app launches on my lock screen. It's the flashlight and it's Google Home. It's how much I use.
I think mine are the same, actually, to be honest.
Because it's very useful. Those are the two things I want the fastest access to. Are I need to find something in the dark, or I want to turn my light on or off. And so it's almost always a light. I know there's other things in home. It's usually always a light. So I'm frustrated that this is a device that really downgrades the camera, either because of highlight or because of, as we were talking about in Slack this morning, Damien, the new camera bar design that takes it back to the Pixel 6 aesthetic of an uncovered camera bar. Either way, it is a problem of Google's making, and the consumer suffers. And people use their flash, or the camera flash as a flashlight 99 times out of 100 compared to for photos.
Yeah.
And I think people are going to be frustrated. I think people are going to buy this phone, not think about the fact that they would ever need to check the brightness of this before they buy it, and are going to be frustrated.
Okay, in defense of the difference in flash levels, luminance levels.
Yes, go for it.
So there's some physical things that have changed to how the camera works. So obviously, because I'll try and describe it. So effectively, in this section here on the camera, you can see on the video. Obviously, I'm trying to focus that for you a little bit closer. So basically here, this is not going to work for audio listeners. I'll try and describe it while I'm talking about it. So the actual flash section is within the glass. The reason why they had issues with glare and kind of refraction on the Pixel 6 is because of the way that they used the flash system before. So this is now diffused light. So it has like a white panel that's almost like putting a shower curtain, or like I have my light next to me right now. It's this diffused light. I mean, I'm explaining this to you, Will, you know this. But effectively within that section, it's A, diffused. Secondly, the LEDs are a ring around where the highlight sits in the middle. So you therefore lose out on some of the LEDs that would ordinarily be in the middle of it. Usually they would be the major cluster of LEDs that you'd have, and they get thinner towards the edges because they can't be fully round because of how small the LED, I think it's diode, maybe, I could be wrong. The tiny, tiny little square LEDs that sit around it, you're missing, let's say, 25-30% of those LEDs. Then when you look at if I grab the Pixel 10 here, you can see that it's in a metal section here. It's in a metal section housing. It doesn't have that diffused section.
Right.
So what it can do is the light can almost be spread out. It's kind of the refraction level's higher. I think it's refraction. It spreads the light further. It's almost like a car light, like the headlight on your car, so that it can spread further. Obviously, all of that has been removed here on the Pixel 11. So what ends up happening is you are not going to get as much light spread. Positives, you get more diffused light. And in video, I've recorded videos in 100%. Lower light situations, looks really nice. It's soft, the shadow's great, can't fault it. But as you say, most people are not going to be doing that. They're just going to use night sight, which I think this is probably one of the reasons why they focused on night sight, this pun intended with the focus bit there.
Yeah.
They have got 50% better light gathering with night sight.
They do.
It is better. It is better.
It is. I have my complaints about night sight on this phone. Okay. I think it's so aggressive. I took a photo in my living room that literally it brightened it to the point. It was very low light, and the only real source of light that was coming in, besides some RGB lights in the living room, was the over sink light in our kitchen, right? Which is fairly dim compared to the actual big overhead light we have in our kitchen. Lights, and night sight was night sight brightened it to the point where it looked like the kitchen light was on. and I had to use I retook the photo,
tune it down.
And I had to use the pro controls in the Pixel thing to bring down my exposure and even the brightness a little bit further to actually get the shot to look how it looked to my eyes. And it honestly drove. It's the only bad time I've had with the camera so far, because I kept accidentally tapping out of pro controls, and it would just reset to default. It was so it was miserable. But that's my complaint. It's very good as long as you don't need it to look natural. If you want the photo to look natural, it's not very good. I even tried it with night sight off, and it was still an issue. So
I do wonder. I think that's where they've gone. The route they've gone down. I think they've done they've just lent into night sight and understood that okay.
But that doesn't fix the flashlight issue.
No. But then again, you could quite easily argue that they're not supposed to be a replacement for an actual torch or flashlight, right?
But they are. Right, that's the issue. The issue is that you can't.
But at the end of the day,
society has adapted. Genuinely, my best friend, he texted me the other day. He was a week or two ago. He was like, "Should I upgrade my iPhone? Is it time?" He's got a 15 plus.
Yeah,
I believe he's got a 15 plus, and he was like, "Should I update my iPhone?" And I was like, "You having any issues with it?" And he was like, Not really. No, it's just, the battery life has gotten to the point where I can't just leave the flashlight on in my pocket all day anymore. It'll kill the phone. And I was like, yeah, he was being a little tongue in cheek, but I was like, yeah, buddy, that's a 2-year-old phone for you. You gotta drop, you can't do that. But that's what regular, that's for his job. He keeps it on all day. He uses the flashlight all the time for his job. That's how normal people, non-smartphone enthusiasts act. I totally hear you on the diffusion side. The only thing I would argue is that I think some of the diffusion might also be because of highlight. I think they don't want those lights to be super, super bright. That's the only thing I would argue. But I think either way, Google has made a mistake here. I think it's a misstep. I think it's an interesting idea. I think it's got its space, but at the end of the day, I think more people are going to be frustrated that the flashlight is not a very good flashlight than they are that it's really good for video now. And I'm not trying to take that away from you. It's just that I know the ratio of like creators versus average person who needs a flashlight.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I'm just giving you a potential defense.
I agree with you.
But here's another thing that might be beneficial. You mentioned your friend has a light going off in their pocket all the time. Like at least now it won't like burn your eyes as much as it would last year.
That's true. It won't even shine through
out in public.
His jeans will block it right out.
yeah. Like you won't have someone in public and you go, "Oh, you're blinding me with your torch. Like you're blinding me with the flashlight."
Exactly.
Don't worry about it. Or when they take a photo.
It's for safety.
Potentially a safety feature. I do wonder. Yeah, I do wonder if this is just obviously if they're going to continue with highlight, which I don't doubt. I don't doubt they'll keep it for at least a couple of versions. I wonder if that will improve over time because you ordinarily like color LEDs are not as bright as white LEDs. So maybe they'll try and improve the color LED strength, and you could potentially have. Because I would love this. I would love RGB lighting for photos. That would be phenomenal. Like if Google could do that before anybody else, I don't think anyone else has done it. And obviously you could tie that in with camera looks and it maybe could do, okay, I'm getting into some really weird stuff now. They could potentially use the flashlight, the light, to almost auto white balance at night. And that would be phenomenal.
Yes.
Like, because
you could adjust the color temperature of the light.
That would be so good.
That's exactly what I was thinking about. Now,
maybe they could do that now.
If Google,
maybe not right now.
Google, if you take this idea, you do have to pay Damien.
Yeah, you have to pay.
You have to pay him, and he's not cheap. It's not cheap.
No. I'll be a light. What was it? Lighting consultant.
You're a lighting consultant.
Lighting consultant.
And that fee, it ain't cheap.
Oh, it's not cheap. Yeah, it's not cheap.
There we go. Damien, we've been on a journey today. From philosophical discussions about the
from darkness to light, I think.
To my rant about the flashlight. Where can people find all the excellent work you're doing?
You just find me on the website 95google.com. You can find me on. I mean, I'm not really using social media, but you can follow me over there. I do dip in every now and again.
I don't remember the last time I had someone on this show who was like, "I'm very active on insert social network here." It's everybody's like, "I'm not really using it, but it still exists," like including me. So.
If you're going to find me anywhere, you can find me. I do a lot of gaming content on my personal YouTube channel. Go check me out there. It's definitely not related to what I do day to day. I keep it completely separate.
I don't think I knew this. What's your personal channel?
Oh, just search for Damien Wilde. You find me on YouTube. I do mostly Linux gaming, handheld gaming, all that kind of stuff. You can find me on Threads. I do use Threads very, very sporadically, usually around I/O and Pixel launch. After that, just find me on the website and find me over on the YouTube. We're most active over there. And on the Discord. If you're a pro tier member, come speak to us on the Discord. I think we maybe do a Q&A at some point on Pixelated for you guys. If you have any questions, throw them my way. I'll try my best to answer them. I've had a good time. And it's always good talking to you, Will. We'll be talking to you again soon this week. So
I was going to say, we podcast each other so much now, but I think it's only made us stronger. It's go join Pixelated Pro or go join Google Pro and listen to Pixelated Pro. Because I mean, look, Damien, I don't know if you listen back to the episodes. I wouldn't expect you to. Obviously, I do because
sometimes in the car.
There you go.
It's just weird hearing yourself. It's weird hearing yourself in this context.
You get used to it. You do get used to it. And I'm sure you're kind of there because you edit your own videos.
Yeah,
or whatever,
I do my videos.
I mean, even right now, I have my voice in my headphones from my microphone. you just get used to hearing your own voice to the point where I feel weird recording when I can't hear my own voice in my headphones. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if you would agree with me, but from my perspective, having edited the episodes, the bonus episodes we're doing in Pixelated are sometimes better than the main show. And I'm not trying to take anything away from the main show, but they're I'm really like, we've only been doing that. We haven't even been doing them for 2 months. I think they've come together really quick. They're really fun, and sometimes sometimes we're completely off topic, and sometimes we accidentally get into like even deeper discussions on the stuff you probably want us to talk about on the main show than we do on the main show just by accident, just by being a little bit looser and freer in our structure. So it's great. I mean, we did like 2 hours. It was like 2 hours of Pixelated last week if you're a pro subscriber. So So go join that, and we'll make it video eventually. We're gonna get there.
We're gonna get there. We just need to convince Abner to get on camera, and I'm sure he'll be happy when he does eventually. But he will.
Don't throw him under the bus, even though it's clear
he's not here to defend
the two
himself.
of us being here. Oh, Damien, thank you so much.
Awesome. Speak to you soon, guys.
That's it for this week's Sideload. Thank you again to Damien for coming on. It's literally always fun to chat with him, and truly, I think we talked for like another 30 minutes after the recording wrapped. So just to give you an idea of how much we enjoy talking about Pixel and other gadget-related things. The best place to reach me is will@9to5mac.com. You can send all of your questions, concerns, and feedback there. As always, you can find, rate, and review us on the podcast platform of your choice. And please share the show with a friend if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to 9to5 Google on YouTube, where you can find full video versions of every episode of the Sideload, plus all of the excellent work being done by Damien and Jordan. They have truly killed it on this Pixel 11 launch. Also, remember to check out 9to5 Google's flagship podcast, Pixelated, where Damien, Abner, and I chat about the week's news through a Google and Pixel-friendly lens. Finally, do not forget to sign up for 9to5 Google Pro, which nets you a whole bunch of perks for just $5 a month, including that weekly bonus episode of Pixelated you just heard me pitch at the end of this episode. That's it for this week. I know we just got back to weekly, but there is a chance next week's episode either publishes late or doesn't happen. It's just some personal scheduling stuff in my life. It happens around your birthday, I suppose. Regardless, we won't miss an episode after Labor Day this year. I can promise you that. So regardless, we will be back very, very soon. And as always, we will see you in the next one. Bye.